ChatGPT killed traditional language learning, and now it looks like Netflix might do the same with Reactor. Let me show you what I mean.
知道我的厉害了吧？
あいつの旦那がうちの頭だったんだが。
Ah, mais voilà, le patron.
Pero ustedes están aquí en calidad de rehén.
I love learning languages, and on the channel, we previously looked at how ChatGPT can help you write in different languages and have back and forth spoken conversations at home or on the go to keep your languages sharp. But writing and speaking are just two parts of language learning. Listening and reading natural native content is also really important. So I've been looking for better ways to get useful language input, and I found an incredible tool called Language Reactor to help you do this with your favorite shows. This is going to blow your mind as a method to learn new words. I'll quickly show you how Language Reactor works, where you can get it, and a few powerful ways you can use this to learn new languages, with bonus tips at the end to show you how to get the most from this. And this method will work for everyone, even if you don't have Netflix because of YouTube. So let's see how this works. The core premise of Language Reactor is this. You enjoy watching your favorite Netflix or YouTube shows, and there's a ton of great language material in those videos. So if you can combine those two, you get a lot of great language lessons out of a fun pastime of watching your favorite shows. Picture this. I'm learning Spanish, and one of my favorite shows is called La Casa de Papel, which is in full natural native Spanish. I start watching, I click this button, and all of a sudden I get a few amazing language learning tools. I get the exact subtitle from the show here, the word-for-word translation here so I can see what words mean in isolation, and I get the human translation here. We see how you interpret this phrase most naturally when you put all the words together. Is that it? No, not even close. Let's say I'm watching my show and I come across a Spanish word I don't know. And I think to myself, I should learn this word. Boom, I click on it, get a quick definition, and hit word reference to get an even deeper understanding of the word. Now I want to save this word so I can learn it to memory and master it to use it in real life. So I hit tags and I give it a red to mean, I want to learn this word, but I barely know it now. When I come across this word again and I'm able to recognize it maybe 5 times in a row, I'll set it to yellow to mean, okay, I'm starting to get this word a bit. And after the next 5 in a row, I'll set it to green to say, okay, I know this word now. And when I start saying to myself, this is way too easy, this word shouldn't be highlighted anymore, I definitely have it down. So I'll click and mark the word as known so I can stop focusing on it and take it out of my study list. Now when I finish the show, I can come here to check out all the words I'm currently studying, and I could also save a couple of phrases that I'm trying to remember. If I'm feeling more in a study mood that day, I might wrap up by exporting the full transcript of the show and going over all the new words I learned. And just to give you a quick glimpse on the YouTube side, you get very similar tools for videos that have captions. Overall, Language Reactor is a powerful tool for language students because it helps you drill down on new words and phrases while having fun with your favorite shows. And I'll show you how you can make this very passive or very active. But first, let me show you how to get it. You're going to want to head to Google, search Language Reactor, and download this plugin. Then head to languagereactor.com and make an account. Now head to either Netflix or YouTube, find a show, and click to turn on Language Reactor. There's a lot of bells and whistles to this plugin, but I'll show you the core features that I use to help you get a quick start. First up, here's a quick lay of the land. You have the subtitles and translations that you can move around by clicking here, and on YouTube, you can move the subs more fluidly. On the right, you have a panel with your transcript, some saved words, and more settings that we'll look at later. Now in the play area, you have an on and off switch and access to settings. Onward to play controls. First up, as you're playing a video, you can go backward or forward, phrase by phrase. You click here for the previous phrase, here for the next phrase, and here to repeat the current phrase. You can also enable this to auto pause after each phrase, so this is useful for the language study sessions where you want to nail every line in the video or take it really slow and study. And most of these actions have a shortcut, so here are the ones I use. A for previous phrase, S for repeating the current phrase, D for next phrase, Q to toggle the auto pause, spacebar to pause or continue the video, 1 to slow down the video, and 2 to speed it up. Alright, now let's look at the settings. To keep things simple, you can just copy my settings, but we'll go over a few in more detail. Set the audio and subtitles to the language you're learning, and set the translation to the language you know, but these should be done automatically. I keep on machine translation so I can see word for word meanings, since that sometimes helps me understand phrases even more than a natural translation. But the natural human translation is how you'd actually say these phrases if you're speaking to someone else. Moving on to vocabulary highlighting. First, set your vocab level by giving a quick look at the words, and keep going until you find a section where you don't know all the words in that section and set your level there. You can change your level anytime, so don't stress on this one. You could just click the very first level if you're not sure. It's cool because they try to divide the language into the most common words grouped into ranks, so you can learn the most frequently used words first before going on to the more complex and less frequently used ones after. I then set both of these options to off, and I'll show you why soon. These are the color settings I use. My philosophy is I only want words colored that I'm actively studying, else I can just keep them in white. That way I can focus my brain only on the colored words in the captions as I watch the show. So the only setting I have on is mark to learn, and I keep tags and text on along with learning stages on hover. You can hide some of the UI elements here by toggling them, but the one I actually use sometimes is this one to take the subtitles panel off. You can get a more immersive view when I just want to watch to relax. There are some other interesting options you can play with, but I usually leave those alone. Language Reactor also has a website component, but I ignore most of it except for a few that we'll come back to. Returning to play controls. As you find words you want to study, you can click on them and you have access to quick definitions and examples. You also have other sites to get different definitions, and the two that I use most often are Word Reference and bab.la. You can play back the word here. If you decide you want to review a word, you have a list of color tags you can add, and these will turn the word orange and underline the word if you have that option on from earlier in the video. But what I'll do is I'll set a word to red when I first find it, then I'll change it to yellow after I get more comfortable with it and feel like I'm starting to get it, maybe after getting it 5 times in a row, and then I'll set it to green when I feel really comfortable with the word. I usually let words sit at green for a while until I know it so well that I'm almost sick of seeing it. At that point, I'll check off the word as known and remove the tags to officially take it off my study list. If you're wondering, I don't use blue tags for anything. Next stop on the tour is the subtitles list panel. First up is a transcript, and you can play or save phrases from there too. You can see a list of the most commonly used words from the video you're currently watching, so this helps to focus on the most used words first. You'll see that anything marked as known will be green here. Some are already checked off based on the language level you set. So if you're seeing things in green that you don't know, you can go back and change your language level. But again, this is something I mostly ignore since I set most of the words that I'm learning manually. You can also filter words here by color tag, which is useful for studying. Lastly, you have the Save tab to see all the words and phrases you saved, and you can see just the word or also get the sentence that the word was used in. Last stop is really useful, and it's exporting. You can export the full video transcript, including the translations you want, in HTML or Excel, and I usually do HTML, and I'll show you how you can use these transcripts in a powerful way shortly. If you want to export just the words and phrases you're learning, you can do that by going here. Select the words and phrases you want and export. In this case, I usually export as Excel because it has more information. You can also export to things like Anki if you use those, but I like to keep things simple. Okay, I hope that wasn't too overwhelming. But let's make things even simpler. I'll show you how I use this tool to help you get started fast. When I'm using Language Reactor, I usually ask myself 2 questions. Am I a beginner in this language, or am I more intermediate/advanced? And second, am I in the mood to actively study, or am I trying to be more passive and relax? Student mode. If I'm a beginner just starting to learn a language and I'm actively trying to study, I would do this. Set my language level and turn color on for suggested words. This will help prioritize what words to learn first, since doing it manually as a beginner might be tough given that most words will be new. Then I'd turn on machine translations and human translations. I'd also turn on auto pause. Now, each time I hear a word or phrase that I don't know, I'd play the phrase and repeat it back a few times. Then I'd study the word for word translation, and then I'd go to the human translation. I'd follow up by going through a few of the definitions, and then I'd set the word as red to mark it as something that I'm just starting to learn. At the end of the show I'm watching, I'd go back through all the saved words and phrases for a final review. And in the future, I would keep coming back to this episode to study all the words and phrases until I can mark either all of them as green or known. That's when I'd finally check off the video as done. Monk mode. Now, if I'm a beginner but I'm just trying to relax and watch a show, I'd keep the same settings on as before, but I'd turn off auto pause and hide the side panel. Now as I watch the show, I would just pay attention to the orange words and look at their machine and human translations as they come up on screen. If a word looks particularly interesting, I might pause to learn that word and tag it, but I generally wouldn't do this much so that this can feel more hands-off and relaxing. Research mode. As an intermediate or advanced student, if I want to actively study, these are the settings I use. I turn on auto pause and I only turn on human translations. I turn off suggested words since I can be more selective about the words I learn to find things that are interesting or relevant to my life. Now as words come up, I tag just the new ones that catch my attention, and I deep dive the vocabulary to learn it in that moment for the next time around. When I finish the episode, I go back and review all the words in the same way that we did with student mode. Sage mode. And you have Sage mode for intermediate advanced students that just want to relax. Here I turn off auto pause, hide the side panel, and take out all translations, leaving just the target language. Now I'll only pause the video to tag a word if I see something come up that I don't know that really catches my interest. These 4 modes help me keep language learning in my life, whether it's a Sunday morning and I'm pumped to learn Spanish, or if I'm coming home tired after work and just want to relax, I can still keep Spanish in my life. Now here's a great bonus tip. You can do a fun exercise with ChatGPT by exporting all the words you're learning and asking ChatGPT to quiz you based on the content. To do this, you'd export your words as an Excel file, copy these columns into ChatGPT, and tell it to quiz you by copying this prompt. Then you can kick off and test your knowledge, and you could even turn this into a spoken, conversational quiz if you enable voice tools for ChatGPT. If you want to skip the time experimenting yourself and jump straight to some vetted prompts, I spent around 150 hours creating and tweaking like we just did to get 100 prompts that are great for language learning. And I put them together in a book that covers prompts for beginners, for conversations, listening and speaking, language learning games like Jeopardy, Pictionary, and role-playing, prompts for language teachers, prompts for culture and mindset, and a whole bunch more. I have 2 versions of the book, the demonstrations edition, in which I include visual demonstrations for every prompt so you can follow along. I'll drop both book links in the description and would love to hear if you find some value out of them so I can make them even better for language learners. I have a ton more tips to help you learn languages faster on the channel, and this video will show you how to enable voice for ChatGPT on your phone so you can practice live dialogue in different languages anywhere that you are. So I'll see you there, and hasta la próxima.